So here's a version of a scene which is done, and let's see how we can do some simple animation on it. So first thing first, I'm gonna go to my hotbox by holding down spacebar, go to the right side and have my time slider and range slider. So right now I just have 200 frames, but if I wanted to do, let's say, a 15-second animation and at 30 frames a second, which is NTSC, which is here in the United States, I can do 450 frames. So at 30 frames a second, so that's a 15-second animation. So that's the first thing. And also, I want to go here to the animation preferences, and I'm just looking at update playback is going to be updated on active view, and it's playing continuous in real time. So that's great. I have 450 frames. And my key tick size over here is at 4, which means that my keyframes are going to show really big over here. So let's do, like I said, I'm going to do just some simple objects right now. So let's start with the clouds. So let's say if we wanted all the clouds over here just passing through the whole scene. So I'm going to go on frame 1 and hit S to set a key, and you can see there's your keyframe. And then throughout the animation, I can just simply have them go really slow. So I can just go to W and just have them go really slow, just till about maybe there. And hit S again. Or you can also turn on auto key, and what auto key would have done is it would have just set a key. I don't have to hit S every time, and I'll do that in the next example right here. So you can see that these clouds are nicely moving, and if you feel that they're moving too fast, then you can go and just fix them, just pull them back, or you could go to the graph editor right over here. So animation editors, graph editor, and pretty much that's our first frame right there, the first keyframe, and then here's our last keyframe. Pretty much very simple. So all I can do is I can just take this and type in, instead of just going to a value, and I pretty much translated them in X. So this one is what we are looking for. So pretty much if it's going to 5.27, I can just have it come down. So that's all I need to do. But right now it's fine, I'm not going to change that. So they're going really slow, as you can see. So the next thing I want to do, and this is how some of the things were done in the Panda file too. My idea was deforestation, like I said, and pretty much I wanted to show the trees going away and there's no more grass left and everything. So I can definitely have the trees fall just like the Panda. So let's say I'll do one of these guys, or maybe one over here and one over here. So what I've done is, if I go to the perspective view, I've taken the pivots for all of these and I've positioned them down over here. I've snapped the pivots to the bottom. So let me just move this guy up. So the pivot was in the center earlier, so I went to D and C. D goes to the pivot mode, it's a toggle, and C is to curve snap. And if I hold down middle mouse button, you can see I snapped it over here right now. Same thing I've done on each one of them. You can see that pivots are at the bottom. So the most important thing is timing and your storyboard. So the Panda had some great storyboards, and I'm sure you saw them in the design brief videos. So most importantly, you have to have a storyboard where how everything's moving, how things are coming in, how they're going out, and so on. So for this one, I'm gonna go to frame 40 and hit S, and right at frame, let's say 80, I'm gonna have it rotate, or let's say not rotate, I'm just gonna have it fall down. Let's say that's my animation. I'm just gonna have it fall down and maybe even do that. And right now you can see that my auto key was on, so it already added the keyframe. So I can just have it go here and here. And then same thing around frame, let's say 70. This one starts over here. I can have a keyframe over there, so hit S to get a keyframe. And let's say around 110, I want this one over here too to kind of fall down. And maybe even go in the ground, doesn't matter, because I'm just trying to show the trees are getting cut. So if I'm trying to show something like really making a point, so you can see that one falls and then that one falls, then I'm gonna have this tree fall, and at the same time you can see that the grass nicely, blown over here, the flowers also animated, but the clouds also going. And then I can have the cow over here, and imagine a scene where you had a whole bunch of cows like grazing and everything, and suddenly they don't have anything to no land left, and no grazing land left, and you can have just buildings coming down. You could have like a building falling this way down as the tree is falling on the side. So you could do that just like there was in the Panda project. Even these, I can just have them, let's say right around 100, I can have this one, hit S, and then I can go to frame, let's say 140, and then I can just move it out of the screen. So you can see how this is starting to come together. You have this, trees fall, the other tree falls, this one goes out, and right at this point you can have some other things like the buildings or some other construction kind of falling in. And as far as the guy goes over here, we can have some really simple, because this is really a simple rig. We don't have any kind of other control objects or any. This is a very, very basic rig, just joints inside him. So we could just have, on him, we could just start with around frame like 50, and he could just be looking around as the thing's falling. So he could just be maybe turning. So what I can do for that is just select all these guys and have a keyframe right there, and then as that falls he can just be looking around like so, and then you can see right over there he just looked right around there, and maybe right around frame maybe 80 I can have his neck over here turn too, so I can have a keyframe on that. And this is just one way. There are a lot of different ways of animating characters. This is just, I'm doing very, very like a simple animation for a simple character, so I can just have him look and turn his head. So you can see the character is right there, and as he turns his head, I can also, he's just standing at that spot, and I can just have him also rotate his body over here. So let me just, grass and trees, let me just template them so I don't accidentally select some of these guys. So at this time let's go and select, let's say the shoulder blade right here, not the shoulder blade, let's say the color, and maybe I want to do that. So let's say I'm going to start at around frame 95, hit S, and then around frame 115 I'm going to have him just do that, and also have his arm kind of drop. So again at 95, and I could do this together, I'm just doing it one by one. Hit S, and at 115 right over there I can have his arm drop as well, and as he's turning his, so you can see right there. So we can make another cam just to focus on the character's movement too. And right over here I could also have his other arm, which is this one, raise. So we can have this one over here. We can just go to frame, let's say around 95 again, and hit S, and I can just have around 115 this arm over here just raise. So he just raises the upper arm just like that. So you can see right around here as the tree falls. So he's really doing some simple animation, and then we can have him like simply walking around, or just even his whole animation could be he's just standing there and then he's just looking at everything falling around him and he's just reacting to it. So that could be the whole animation. So that's how you would start with the scene, and I would say do it one by one, do it step by step. First get the, if I was to do this, I would first get, like I did the clouds, then I would get the trees nicely timed, I would get the cows if there were a whole bunch of cows, they're moving around, and the cows are simple right there since they're just on planes. If I turn off this one right here, I could just have the cow just moving this way. So I can have the cows moving around, and same thing, so again, time everything nice. So get the trees done, get the cows done, get the guy's motions reacting to everything, and finally have all these grasses out of the way as everything is, the trees are falling. And then if you want, you can also turn off, turn these guys totally off. You can animate them just going down the ground and, you know, the buildings falling in. So there's so many different ways you can do this, but the most important thing is you gotta have a storyboard. So I would say I highly recommend to have a storyboard. So what we'll do is in the next video we'll see how we can render this, so that way we can get all our images, the image sequences, and where they go. So we'll see how we can render this in the next movie.